about the presentation a couple of months ago now regarding coins, then I also have one that I can do for diamonds and for gold and other stuff, because for a long time, I've played in those things. I started collecting coins when I was a little kid, and coins led to gold and silver, which led to diamonds and Rolexes and all that fun stuff. So when I told him I was going to do a program, and I told him it was going to be about diamonds, I sent him a little quote from Confucius that even a flawed diamond is still better than a perfect pebble. That's I need, yeah.
Can't see your head.
Yeah. So, and can you still hear me through here? Okay. So the other thing I was going to tell everybody, diamonds are kind of a cool thing that people really like, and I used to do this for a living for a while. I worked for a guy spending his money, and a girl had come in one time with this one diamond that her boyfriend had given her, and she was really proud of it. It was really weird cut. It was cut like a 4-leaf clover, and it was so unique that she had come in and wanted to know what it was worth. And so she showed it to me, and I looked at it, and I said, I hate to tell you this, that's not a diamond, that's a CZ. It's a shamrock. So anyway, what I'm going to tell you about is some tips and tricks and trivia, a little bit about diamonds. Now, most of you may have heard or may know that there are the 4 C's of diamonds. What's that?
It took me a while to
I
catch.
said to Terry it was a time joke.
Oh,
It
that's
took me a while to catch the
Because it took me a while to catch it.
Alright.
I was unpacking the CZ cubic zirconia and I got lost on the sham
Right.
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
I wanted to know what a clover had to do with that.
Alright, so there are 4 C's to diamonds, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information about each one of these. And I have literally had people call me up and ask me to go help them buy engagement rings so that they get a better deal, bigger bang for the buck. And I've done this many times for many people because it's something that I enjoy doing, and I learned a lot about it, and because of that, I can help you do something. What a lot of people don't understand is where all this comes from. Now, people talk about color. The diamond, typical diamond that you see that women wear most of the time are going to be what's considered white diamonds. And white diamonds are usually clear. But there are colored diamonds of every color of the rainbow. There are yellow diamonds, red diamonds, black diamonds, green diamonds that are still what is the scientific term of a diamond, but is actually still a colored stone. Now the color goes through, there is a D through Z grading of a color of a diamond. Now D through about K, you and I probably can't even tell the difference. So whenever you're looking at diamonds, if you want to pay the highest price possible for a diamond, you can get a D or an E or an F, and you're paying a very high premium for a very low or high color diamond because you're getting a D or an E or whatever that is. Most diamonds in about the H and the I, even the J's, you and I cannot tell the difference in a HIJ and a DEF. It takes somebody who does this for a living, who is a GIA certified gemologist that does this for a living, that uses a special piece of equipment and a special telescope type thing, microscope type thing, that gives it the ability to tell the difference in those colors. So if you were going to buy a diamond, don't let them convince you that you need, if you really love her, you buy her a D. Because it's completely unnecessary to get a D.
Obviously, I don't have a D.
No, she does not have a D. You can get an H or an I or a J, and it'd be just as pretty as what a D or an E is going to be, with saving, depending on the size, several thousands of dollars for sure. So that's very important to know. And then when you get into the fancies, which is the colored diamonds, and the yellows and the reds and the blues and the blacks and all those different colored diamonds, those are actually graded based on the deepness of the color. So if it is a very dark, deep, it's like anything else, a ruby or an emerald or any of those sapphires, if it's a very dark, deep color, then it's graded at a higher quality than what a faint color would be. Now, when you get into the low end, when you get into the, and I want to say even, L, M, N, O, those start getting a yellow tone or yellow tint to them. And if you were to place a stone like this in, say, a platinum setting, that's a white setting, you're going to see the yellow in the diamond. Now, in a gold setting, you can do this, and you really can't see it because the gold throws off some shadow with the gold anyway. So it really works out. Now, the other part is your cut. Some people know of different cuts of diamonds, but they label that as the shapes of diamonds. So you have what is a diamond, and you have all these cuts, right? So that is what a typical brilliant round diamond is gonna look like. That cut is round. But you also could have a pear, you could have a marquee, you could have a princess cut. The cut, or the shape of the diamond, is not necessarily the cut, it's the shape. When they talk about the cut, it's a quality of the cut. So when they cut a diamond, there are certain parameters that they're supposed to use, and depending on whose parameters that you use, whether or not it's European or GIA's or somebody else's, and there's different cuts that are the preferred cut. So on a diamond like this, you have a couple of different places. This up here is called the table. This right here is called the girdle. This right here is called the crown. This right here is called the pavilion. And this right here is called the culet. Okay? So depending on whose cut it is, that this part right here is supposed to be 60% of what the girdle is, and that the table is supposed to be 25% of what the girdle is. And those dimensions like that you're supposed to have a 41 degree angle from here and a 45 degree angle down here. And then you're supposed to have 58 facets, and that the 58 facets will cause you the best fire and the best brilliance on a round diamond. So when they're doing the cuts, all of that matters. And at the same time, they're also trying to hide flaws, and they're trying to hide carbon, and they're trying to hide things by cutting it in such a way that makes it the most best looking, with the most brilliance and the most fire, and obviously the most expensive cut of a diamond. So sometimes they'll cut a diamond and it'll be like this because it looks really big because it's really wide but very shallow. Sometimes you'll have a diamond like this that's really deep, which has no good reason whatsoever, because it looks really tiny, but it's really heavy, it's really deep, so it makes it heavier. So a cut is actually like this. It is supposed to be cut a certain way, and again, there's about 9 different ways that are considered the way to do it, depending on who you ask and what country you're in. But the brilliant cut diamond, again, the percentages of how deep it is, how tall it is, how wide the table is, how wide the girdle is, and even the degree of the cut is all in writing of how it's supposed to be. Now, the other thing they do sometimes is once they have an older diamond, the culet and old European diamonds, they're actually cut like this. That culet is cut off. If you ever look down inside a diamond, and if you're looking from the top of the diamond like this, and you see a little bitty circle at the bottom like that, it's because the culet is cut off, and it looks like a hole at the bottom like a donut. But it's an old European cut diamond. But they will take, say you have a marquee, and the marquees were really big in the 80s, not so much in 2020, but you can make that into a pear and make it more desirable. So they'll cut off that tip, or make it into a round or an oval by cutting off the tips, because marquees aren't a popular shape anymore, so they'll reshape it by cutting off the tips and making it into something else. What my wife's diamond, of course, this is about the actual size she drew it, but she says, I want a square center diamond. And I really like to have 2 little triangle shapes. Well, this is called a princess cut, and those are called trillions. Trillions for obvious reasons. And so that's basically what size she drew and said, that's what I want. Well, because I had done this for a couple of years, I knew a lot of people, I called up a diamond broker buddy of mine, and hey Terry, I am looking for my wife a ring, or my girlfriend a ring. This has been 30 years ago. And I said, what I'm really wanting, she wants a princess cut center stone. He says, as a matter of fact, I think I have a wedding set that has a princess cut center stone. And I said, you really think? He said, I think. Now Terry was a diamond broker. He wasn't a jewelry store. He bought and sold to diamond or jewelry stores and that kind of thing. And I said, well, it'd be cool if it had trillions on the side. Matter of fact, I have one with trillions on the side. I'm like, no way. He said, yeah, it's in one of my drawers or boxes back in my office. meet me at my office, we'll find it. So I get over there, and I'm telling him, so do you know what size it is? He says, I think it's about a half carat. I said, and me knowing pricing, which is what I'm, he says, I think it's about a half carat. I said, cool, I can afford a half carat. And I said, do you know what the trillions are? He says, they're a colored stone. I said, well, rubies are birthstone. It'd be cool with the rubies. He says, I think they are. And it was meant to be. So he literally pulled out the ring on her finger, which has a half carat princess cut and has ruby trillions on the side of it, and had a $3,200 price tag on it. Now, me knowing what I know, I'm like, Terry, this is exactly what I want, but I honestly cannot pay you $3,200 for this ring. I'm just not in a position to be able to do that. He said, it's for you? I said, yeah. He said, you're not gonna sell it? I said, no, I'll never sell it. It's for my girlfriend. He said, yeah, I paid $750 for it. You can have it for $800.
Wow.
That's the difference of knowing what you're doing. That's the difference. Because he knew that I knew, this is what you can get away with.
What did you tell her you paid for it?
He told me I want
She
one.
would flip out if I paid $3,000.
I would have,
for
yes,
something.
I'd have been really mad.
She knew enough to me to know that I knew stuff, which is why it was good. So, now when you get into clarity, clarity has to do with how many inclusions, whether it be white or black or different things like that. And so when you have clarity, you have, which is an I stone, and there's an I 1, 2, and 3, and then you have SI. What's that? Oh, somebody over here talking. So you have VS 1 and 2, and you have VVS 1 and 2, and then you have flawless is basically the next one. But you have external and internal flawless. So in I3, nearly half the diamonds that are ever pulled out of the ground never make it to, they're saw blades and drill bits. They're not for jewelry, they're junk. And so they do make diamond saw blades and make diamond drill bits because they need something really, really hard, and diamonds are known to be the hardest substance. That doesn't mean you can't break them, because obviously they cut them. They used to cut them with hammers and chisels, now they cut them with lasers. But you can cut diamond, but you can shatter diamond, but it is the hardest substance. You can't scratch diamonds without something that's harder than diamond. And so when you pull out an I3 diamond, that is very included. That means on a decent size, a quarter carat or even more, if we're looking at it like this, I can see inclusions. That means with your eye, I can see inclusions on the inside of the diamond. When you get up to I1, it's still an included diamond, it's just not as easy to quickly spot. They may be white instead of black. They may be a little harder to find because they're over on the edge. But when you grade a diamond, you grade it from the table down, so you look at it from the top, and when you look at it, if you can see inclusions, it's considered an I diamond. And then you can easily say it's I, you can see it with your eye. SI means slightly included. So it's a little better than an I, which means it's harder to see. You may have to use a loupe or a microscope to be able to look in the diamond to be able to see where the inclusions are. And sometimes you may even have to turn it upside down and look through the side to find them. Because again, to grade it, you're actually supposed to look from the table down, but you can usually find things from the side or upside down that you can't see from the top. So slightly included is a better grade. Can't see it with the naked eye, and so it costs a little more because it's harder to find the inclusions. Very slightly included, same thing. If you can't see them with the naked eye here, you certainly can't see them with the naked eye here. But they still cost more because it's very slightly included. When you get here, you're going to pay a very big premium for that extra V on there, but there's no difference from there to there because you can't see it with the naked eye regardless. But this is a higher dollar diamond just for the fact that a jewelologist said that it's VVS instead of SI. So if you go to the jewelry store, Zales, or whoever you go to, and you see a diamond that's graded a VVS 2, it means you will not be able to ever find the conclusions. But you can't find it with an SI either. If you look at it like that on a stone, you're not going to be able to see it. A lot of times the ones that are really bad down here are in earrings because nobody walks up and says, let me see your ear. They will do it here. So they put the nicer stones here. Usually you have these on a ring and these are in earrings for that reason. Unless you find something really cheap and you think it's a really good deal, this is usually why it's really cheap or really a good deal. That or it's a, lower color quality. So flawless is you have an internal or an external. You can have an internally flawless diamond. but it may have still some scruff on the outside of the edges, on like when it got cut or when it was created, that somehow or another there's damage to the outside of the diamond. So it can be internally flawless and still have marks on it, but they're external marks. Or you can have a true flawless diamond, meaning there's nothing on the outside, nothing on the inside, and it's a perfect diamond. And obviously, that's where you really get into the money. I mean, there's not a jewelry store in East Texas that you can probably find anything like that, because nobody here is gonna buy it. Not likely. Not saying they won't, but there's no good reason for it. Unless you're buying for investment purposes, you don't buy investment diamonds at jewelry stores anyway. So these are not gonna be easily found, because they are rare for a reason. And so when you're going through what is the clarity of a diamond, if you buy a diamond that's about right over here, you're gonna get the same look of diamond as you do this right here. It's just a much lower price tag at SI than it is at BBS, okay? All right, and then the next C that we're gonna talk about is carat. Now, carat actually comes from the carob seed. Long time ago, they figured out that a carob seed is what they're gonna use to weigh stuff. And a carob seed, they decided weighs about 0.2 grams, which is about 200 milligrams, okay? And for whatever reason, they decided that a 1 carat diamond weighs about the same as a carob seed, and that's where the word carat comes from. Now, what's funnier, it's also where the word carat for 14 carat comes from too, on gold. They both come from that word, but this one actually makes more sense. I don't know why the K carat came from there too, but it did. So a carat, this carat and that carob are basically the same thing. Standard issue carob seed is gonna weigh about 0.2 grams, and this, legally, a carat weighs 0.2 grams. Now, the way you measure carats most of the time, if you go to the jewelry store to look at stones, they're gonna tell you that something is a half carat or a quarter carat or a third carat. What that means is it's 50 points or 25 points or 33 points. Just like pennies and dollars, 1 carat equals to 100 points, just like pennies and dollars. So when you go to buy a diamond, if you were gonna buy something and you wanted about a half a carat diamond, to hit that threshold adds money. If you bought a 48 point diamond, 99% of the population cannot tell the difference in a 48 point to 51 point. But there's a significant price difference for hitting that threshold. And you pay a premium for that, when nobody can tell the difference between those two. Not visually, you'd have to throw it on a scale to know the difference. Even with my calipers measuring, if I measured it because it was in a setting I couldn't pull it out, I'm gonna tell you it's about a half carat, not knowing exactly what it is. The only way to know exactly is to actually throw it on a scale and weigh it. And so this will save you money due to the fact that it hasn't hit this threshold right here. Same thing, if I want a 1 carat diamond, you can buy a 97 point diamond, and it looks like a 1 carat diamond to 99% of the population, except because it doesn't hit that threshold, it'll save you a couple $100. That's just the way it works, because it is a supply and demand, and therefore, it's harder to get a 50 than it is to get a 48. So you pay the premium to get the 50, or you pay the premium to get the 1. Or if you really want to get crazy, you pay the premium to get to the 10. That's, you know, if it hits 10 carats, then obviously you're gonna pay more than one that's just 9.5 carats. So that's always an easy way to save a couple of bucks, is to get just a couple of points shy of whatever that threshold is, and it doesn't cost quite as much. All right, so there's a couple of stories that I can tell you about various conversations that I've had over the years regarding diamonds. When I did this, because I did this for a guy, like I said, I was using his money, but he knew that I started collecting coins when I was a little kid. And in collecting coins, I made friends with guys, and this guy that opened up what's called the Jewelry Coin and Diamond Exchange in Tyler, his name was Robert Lewis, and as I was 17, 18, 19 years old when he opened it up, And I would go in there, and he'd have all these coins that I liked. And coins are graded, I mean, everything, watches, coins, diamonds, all this stuff has to be graded. But he figured out quickly that I knew what I was doing because I had done it for several years. And he'd have some coins that I wanted, and then when we start negotiating, well, if you buy all of this, I'll give it to you for this much. Well, I would buy everything he would offer, and then go to the coin shop in Longview where they had a buy board, which is basically like an eBay, a live eBay. I would put the stuff I didn't want on the buy board, sell it, get my money back, and then go back to Robert and buy more stuff that I want. Well, after doing that for several months, he figured out, okay, you're too young to buy as much as you're buying, you must have something, what are you doing? So I told him, he said, I need you to come work for me. So I went to work for Robert when I was about 19, 20 years old, and we bought stuff using his money, obviously. Well, I had a customer come in one time with, and he's off playing golf, which is where he was most of the time. I'm 20 years old with a shop full of jewelry and coins and Patek Philippe watches and Rolex watches, but he and I would discuss back, this is before cell phones too, how much money I could spend without his permission and all that kind of stuff if somebody came in with something. I knew what my not get in trouble level was. Well, a guy come in with about a carat diamond, and I look at it and I grade it and I tell him what it is. And I tell him, I can give you $1,200 for it. No, I can't do 12. I gotta have 15. I'm like, dude, I can't give you 15. I can give you 12. That's all I can do for you. But I gotta have 15. I've got this going on and that going on. I gotta have 15. I mean, you've watched Pawn Stars. You know how it works. I've got overhead. I've got inventory. I can't give you 15. He says, what can you do? I said, I'm telling you, I can do 12. I can make you do 12.50, but it's all I can do. He says, if I could do 14. I said, let me make a phone call. So I call up Dusty, which is another diamond broker that was actually called Terry first, and he didn't answer, so I called Dusty. Hey, Dusty, I've got a 1 carat diamond that is a SI1. It's going to be about an H color, and I need, can you give me $1,500 for it? He says, are you good on your stuff? Which, again, I'm 20, but they all know that I knew what I'm doing. He said, you good? Yes, and I'm telling you that's what it is. I said, it's at least that, if not better. Here's what the stuff is, if you can give me 15 for it. He said, yeah, I'll give you 15 for that. Today? He's like, what do you mean today? I'm like, if I buy this right now for $1,400 from this guy, Robert is gonna sell a fit. But if I sell it to you for 15 before he gets back, then I made him $100 and he's good to go. He said, if it's what you say it is, I'll give you 15 for it. If you buy it, call me. I said, all right, hang out for a minute. So I go back to the guy and said, I can do $1,400, I'll buy it for $1,400. He said, great, you made my day, I'm good. I give him $1,400, I called Dusty back, I said, all right, I bought it, come get it. So Dusty comes up in a couple hours and he buys it for $1,500 from me. Robert shows up after 5 o'clock after I close, and he likes to go through the tickets and see what I did. He's going through tickets, he's like, you bought a 1 carat diamond for $1,400, you know good well. I said, no, look, I sold it. You sold the diamond without letting me look at it. I didn't even get a chance to look at it before you. I'm like, whoa, I paid you $100 in 2 hours. I you even have to jack with it. You don't get to gripe on both sides. You can gripe because I bought it or gripe because I sold it, but you can't gripe because both. So that was the fun part about what I did though, because I bought and sold 10 carat diamonds. I bought and sold Patek Philippe watches. I bought and sold all kind of coins. It was fun to get to do that. Of course, when I did it on my own, I didn't get to play at the same level. But when I was using Robert's money, I could buy all kinds of stuff. And so it was a lot of fun for me to get to do that. All right, is there anybody that has any specific questions they'd like to know? Yes, sir.
On television, they show they're using diamonds to put in the bottom of a skillet.
On the bottom of a skillet?
Yeah, to make it non-stick proof.
Oh, like using it to scrub with?
Yeah.
Diamond encrusted something? Yeah. And that's what I was saying. They use a lot of diamonds for drill bits and saw blades because they are the hardest substance.
And then they use metal to grind up stuff to show you that they won't scratch or nothing. What kind of diamond do they use there?
The little cheap disposable ones, the ones that are the really ugly ones. Like I said, over half the diamonds that come out of the ground aren't in jewelry. They're being used for other purposes. The other thing I didn't show you, if you've never heard of, this is what I was going to cover this and I forgot. Back around 1870 is when they discovered all the diamond mines in Africa. So diamonds have not really been rare, but they were hard to come by a long time ago, hundreds of years ago. So they became a status symbol to have big diamonds. In 1870, they went, holy crap, they're not rare, there's billions of them. De Beers says, bought up the whole thing and then shut them down. Said, we'll only pull them out of this hole right here because they don't want millions of them. They want thousands of them. Because if there's millions of them, they're not worth anything. So back, literally, over 150 years ago, De Beers cornered the diamond market and caused them to remain scarce so that they would remain valuable. And then all the ads that all of you have seen all your life of a diamond is forever, and a diamond is a girl's best friend, and that you're supposed to spend 3 months of your salary on the diamond for your woman or whatever. All of that came out from De Beers. This was De Beers' marketing department to make sure. Because back 100 years ago, people didn't give diamonds as their engagement ring. That wasn't a thing. De Beers made it a thing. That's their marketing department has created what is in today's diamond market. And De Beers is who owns about 90% of all the diamond mines that are currently being used. Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about the political issues related to diamonds today?
Well, it's because in Africa, what they use to get the diamonds out of the ground may be 12-year-old kids. And so there's a lot of that going on where you have people with machine guns trying to pull diamonds out of the ground. That's not De Beers, that's the whatever militia people down over there. But it is real. I mean, it really is a thing because that's where the diamond mines are. So that's what happens over there. Some guy with a machine gun decides he's going to get a bunch of kids out of the village to go make them go in the big hole and find the diamonds for him. So that's where when you hear about the blood diamonds or whatever, that's what he's talking about. Yes, sir.
Any idea how many
Yeah, give me a
carrots?
second. Sir?
Any idea how many carrots Patrick Mahomes young?
Wasn't it? I saw that. I saw his ring and her ring. Yeah. That is probably about a 10 or 12 carat diamond, just guessing from looking at it in a picture based on the size of her hand. But yeah, it's the way, and his ring was bigger than hers. Yeah, I saw both of those yesterday. Yeah, who was on here asking a question?
It's Sean.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious about, are there some colors that are more valuable than others?
It depends because of the fact that it is a personal preference. Again, not everybody even realizes there are colored diamonds. But because there are, somebody may say, I want a red diamond. And to that person, a red diamond is significantly worth more than a green diamond or a yellow diamond. And in the diamond world, yellow diamond means that it's poor quality, that it's in the LMNO color quality. So yellow has a negative hint or negative connotation to it anyway. So maybe a yellow diamond would not be worth as much as say a blue or a black or a green, just because it is a negative thing to call it a yellow diamond. So yeah, it's not necessarily that one color is superly more expensive than the other. It's just that colored diamonds are expensive if they are a good, solid, deep color diamond. Yes, sir.
Lab grown versus natural.
Okay, so in today's world of technology, they've decided they can make their own diamonds, right? So there is lab grown, or what they call it, they're man-made diamonds. Again, you have some people say, well, it's the same thing. If you lab grown, what's the difference between a lab grown ruby or a lab grown sapphire, a lab grown emerald, or a lab grown diamond? And they're cheaper because they're man-made. But the most people will tell you that a naturally created diamond is a more valuable, and it may just because De Beers said it was. Most people will tell you that a one that comes out of the ground, made by nature, is a more valuable stone than what a man-made stone is going to be. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
How many years do we have to be married to get an upgrade?
To get the upgrade.
She held that question. Oh, boy.
You're past
Looks like the time is up.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever seen a crown of light diamond?
Crown of Light. I don't know because that is one of the manufacturer's marketing names.
She needs a crown of light.
That's what she needs. Yeah. And there are different manufacturers, different people who cut the diamonds have different names they call them. Like, it's marketing, it's what it is. And you have different Crown of Light's one of them. There's several of those types names that have attached to, if we cut our facets at 60, not 58, and because of those two extra facets, you get more fire and more brilliance, and it's a prettier, and it's gonna, whatever.
I
It's a
promise
marketing.
you can see it from back here.
So that's what a lot of those names come from, is different people who cut diamonds have found a better way to cut them to the point they have a special name for that cut. That's why I said there's about 9 different depending on who you ask and what country you're in, is the preferred way to cut it, because there are a bunch of them out there. Anybody else? All right.
Okay, thank you.
You ready?